Hello everyone and welcome to my Polish cuisine. Today I am making cucumbers in brine, and this is the very basic recipe which will always come out as long as the ingredients are appropriate. And these can be used in a variety of sandwiches, soups, salads, or just to munch on. And in reality, to make pickled cucumbers, we only really need 3 ingredients, which is the salt, water, and the cucumbers. But to make them tastier, we add dill, horseradish, and garlic. Many people add more ingredients like, let's say, mustard seed, cherry leaves, currant leaves, grape leaves, and the list goes on and on. Me and my family have been using this simple recipe to make dill pickles to taste actually like a dill pickle, so without all these additives. A little bit about the ingredients. When it comes to cucumbers, they have to be fresh, crispy, and small. They can't be limp, damaged, or older or bigger. The cucumber should be hard and be a little green in color, since the very green colors, like the deep greens, they determine that they may been exposed to many fertilizers. Water should be clean. If you have a well that contains let's say spring water, that would be ideal. But if the well contains rusty water and needs to be cleaned or goes through backwashes and water softeners, then that water should not be used. We can also just use spring water from the bottles. That's what I'm using. Any water that has, let's say, chlorine in it, then don't use it, because most likely it will not come out. And now a little bit about the salt that I have. This salt is says kamienna, naturalna, do przetworów, niejodowana. So this is a non-iodized salt, which I'll be using. And we need 1 heaping tablespoon of the salt per 1 liter of water. Why does it matter if it's iodized salt or not? Iodized salt tends to rust the lids quick, therefore you may have to use the pickles quicker. Like if you have non-iodized salt, it'll last longer and it won't rust the lids. So that's why we use that one. So as far as the ingredients go, we need some dill flour, horseradish. Need to peel it, wash it, cut it up into smaller pieces, and we're going to use about 2 cloves of garlic per each jar. Now this jar has been already done, and I just wanted to share with you. These cucumbers, as you can tell, they have the greener, like the lighter green part, and then the more greener part. And all I know is these cucumbers have been are from my garden, so I know I had not used any fertilizers. So they are pretty light in color. So these are the best to use. And just remember, they have to be crispy, they have to be firm, instead of being just like limpy. That determines the age of them and maybe just how old they are, and so on and so forth. So let me begin. I'm gonna bring my water to boil. I'm gonna put it over high heat, and of course I'm gonna put on the lid. And the next thing is, make sure that you soak your cucumbers for approximately 2 hours or even longer if you can. Make sure that you do wash them thoroughly and that you dry them. And look for any damages, because they can be damaged if it's from the outside, or they may have some marks or be cut or whatever. So get rid of those or use them for a salad. Make sure that there's no dirt on them. Make sure you go through all of them before we can these, because it does take a little bit of work. Just want to make sure you have everything that is right. then we'll drain the water and dry these. And make sure that we pour hot water into each of these. And kind of scald them. Now my jars are ready to be filled. It's 0.887 liters. So this is not a full liter. Let's place the garlic on the bottom. And then the radishes, the horseradish, I just cut it up into small sticks like this. And I'm gonna place garlic cloves on the bottom. And let's begin by placing the cucumbers in. And they don't really matter if it's this way or that way. Make sure that they are really tight. Would be nice here. So this is pretty fit because they're not gonna go anyplace. And you know that they have to be covered with the brine or solanka, how we above like 1 centimeter above this, above the line of the cucumbers. Also, I'm gonna place a little bit more of the flour of the dill and a little bit more of the horseradish. And remember that the horseradish does contain antibacterial ingredients in it, also antifungal. So, and it keeps the cucumbers pretty crispy for the most part for being a dill pickle. So. And at the top we can place another small one or two. And that's all I'm gonna do because I don't want them sticking up. So when the water level comes up to here, this one may be sticking out and it's gonna spoil your entire jar. And that would be a total waste of time, so do not do that. Yeah, and this is perfect now. So we're gonna wait for the brine to cool off because I don't like to use hot water on these because it may make them a little bit soft and mushy. This one was done in hot water, and I'm gonna cut into it so you can see in a little bit. Now the water has come to boil. So this is 3 liters of water. We're gonna place 3 like big heaping tablespoons of salt like this. 3 of them. And we'll let it dissolve. And now the water is off the burner. We'll let it cool. And then we're gonna fill the jars with the water. Now let's do another jar. is the second jar. I was able to make 4 little jars here and also a bigger one. This is a 4-liter, and I'm just waiting for the brine, so just to fill them with that. And in the meantime, I just wanted to show you one of these I made previously and what they look like inside. So let's cut it open. So let's cut into this one. And this one is still not all the way dilled through, so they are called małosolne. Pull one other out. And still, this one is not fully pickled yet, but they taste very good. So with this one, I'll probably eat this one in a few days, so I don't need to worry about placing this in the basement. Now let me fill these with water. The water is not as cold as I'd like it to be. For the sake of time, I have to do it now. Leave them open and make sure that you do put it on some kind of a tray or plate, because as they go through the fermentation process, it's going to seep out and things are gonna happen in there. So we want to leave these at room temperature for about 3 days. And then, of course, if you want them for the winter, we're gonna have to place them in the refrigerator for another 3 days. And after that, we're gonna leave them in the basement, and they'd be ready to eat in about 2 weeks. Let me do the other one. I'm going to have to add a little bit more of the water, so I'll make that. Now I've added the brine to all of them. So you just gently close the lids, like if they were to be open almost. Don't tighten. They have to be loose because the fermentation process is gonna go on for approximately a long time in them, but the cooler temperatures will slow it down. So this is what we do. So just make sure that you kind of just twist a little bit. And after 3 days, we're gonna tighten the lids and we're gonna place them in the refrigerator just taking into consideration that you want to save these for the winter. If not, then you may eat them, leave the lids on like this for, let's say, 6 days, and they will be good to go. Maybe 7, depending on the room temperature. Every house is a little bit different. So once we put them in the fridge, and after 3 days, they're gonna suck in. Like, you won't be able to hear this because it'll suck in. And then we can place them in the basement. And now this is the second day that the cucumbers have been in brine. And as you can tell, they look kind of hazy, not as clear as they did. Let me show you what they look like inside. So you're gonna see some of the foam forming. Just make sure that nothing, absolutely nothing is sticking out. And this is perfectly fine in case they start to seep a little bit. Then before we place them in the refrigerator, we will clean the jars, and that's why we have the tray for them. And this is the second one, and this is the fermentation process that is taking place, and the cucumbers are in the brine. They are definitely not done yet. For sure it takes at least 2 to 3 days for them to be małosolne, which I've mentioned before, which is not really totally pickled. It's only done halfway through. So I want them to be, I'm actually pickling these to be with us for winter. So I'm gonna have to refrigerate them after 3 days and keep them in the refrigerator for about another 3 days, and then put them in a cooler place like the basement where the temperature is, let's say, like 40s, around 40° Fahrenheit. Just again to make sure that nothing is sticking out, otherwise it will spoil the whole thing. And if the brine seeps through or over, what you can do is replace it with some fresh brine, meaning salt and water. And this is all covered and it looks good. So let me just twist it gently on all of them. And now for the big one. As you can tell, I put a little bit of a weight here with the little cup and the water just to keep these in place, because we don't want them sticking out for sure. If they do, this whole container would get spoiled. So this is perfectly fine the way it is. Make sure to put the weights on, or maybe you have like a little stone that you can put in there. Whatever works. And this is what they should actually look like. So this is the perfect process. So if you like this recipe, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching.